Stephanie here on my path to healthy. Today we're going to talk about intermittent energy restriction. What is that? Well, first of all, intermittent energy restriction is a special type of diet which involves a pause or intermittent pauses in eating. Many variations exist, including alternate day fasting and also time-restricted fasting. So it is sort of like a form of fasting, but it's a very specific form. And in the scientific literature, it is a very effective way to reduce body weight. And not only are we finding that it's a good way to reduce body weight, it is showing all kinds of positive things in the obese brain. So I'm also going to go over that and another extra that they found having to do with your gut microbiome. So this comes out of a study from China, and there was a smaller N, meaning there was only 25 people in this study, so it's a little bit preliminary and a little bit smaller than what we would want to see for a really good statistical significance. But anyway, there was 25 people in this study, and it was 2 months of the IER, intermittent energy restriction. I don't want to have to keep saying that over and over. So anywho, the study was published in the Frontiers in Cellular and Infection Microbiology. This was in December 30th, 2023. The title of the article is called Dynamical Alterations of Brain Function in Gut Microbiome in Weight Loss, and it's by Jing Zhao et al. So they're saying that intermittent energy restriction is a very effective weight loss strategy, and there's not a lot of studies on it and how it basically impacts the brain gut microbiome access is what it's called. So how your tummy or your gut talks to your brain, how does that interact, and why is it that when we pause eating, it causes things to happen in our gut? So they used fMRI imaging of people's brains to also determine what the active brain regions were when they were going through a period of IER. They also checked fecal samples to basically identify different gut microbes, so different bacteria in your intestines and in your pathways. And then they basically showed that at the end of the study, the 2-month study, that there was a decrease in brain activity in the obese-related brain regions, including the cognitive control circuit, the sensory circuit, and the emotion and learning circuit. So this is basically saying that eating behaviors are changed at the end of an IER. It also showed that it decreased, and this was the most significant one, the count or abundance of E. coli in the gut. So in retrospect to that, they also saw an increase of abundance of good bacteria in the gut. And those bacteria, the names of them are way too long for me to even tell you one. Okay, but they're very important, and there was a lot more of them, so that's good. They ran some statistics on this. They looked at a correlational analysis, some ANOVAs, and they found that there are longitudinal correlations between gut bacteria abundance and alterations in brain activity changes. So when your bacteria changes in your gut, it causes changes in your brain that have to do with eating habits. How amazing is that? Who knew that there was an actual connection? Well, we knew that there was a connection, but we never really had any strong evidence of this through like fecal samples. We had fMRI imaging of people's brains for the hunger and satiety regions and things like that. So they concluded that there was a dynamical alteration or the communication of E. coli and specific brain regions during weight loss under the intermittent energy restriction diet. So specifically, it's the E. coli that's being affected. You're probably wondering, well, how is this diet set up? Well, they had alterations of days. So day with no IER, eat whatever you want. Day that has the IER, you have a certain amount of calories that you're allowed to eat. And I will give you the macros. It was 55% carbs, 15% protein, and 30% fat. And depending on if you're a man or woman, and depending on your existing size, you would have a certain calorie assigned to you or a calorie amount assigned to you from a dietitian. They also broke up this study into like 3 phases. Phase 1 was like 4 days, eat whatever you want, track what you're eating. Second phase was, we're going to control what you eat. We're going to send you the food. You only eat what we give you. And then the third phase was, okay, now you're on your own, but you have to choose from these food groups for your IER days. So they did that for, a period of 2 months. And they still found that it was very effective for weight loss. There was a significant drop in body weight, meaning that it wasn't, more or the same as what they started. The other things that they found were a decrease in hypertension, a decrease in hyperlipidemia, and also better liver function. So this is causing all kinds of good things to happen when we are not on necessarily a free-for-all. Now, the NIH has also done some studies with IER, but none were as specific as the one that I found. They've done a lot of meta-analysis of different studies. But basically, what I found on NIH is that IER diets are thought to be as efficient as continuous energy restriction diets in losing weight. And it could be an alternative option for those who can't do a consistent diet regimen or a constant diet regimen. So I found that to be really interesting. So there's many effects now that we know about IER on the brain-gut microbiome access, including a decrease in activity regions in the brain for eating behavior and increased diversity in the gut over the short term. So how exciting. The authors had a little exit blurb in that study that I mentioned earlier, and it says in practice, and I'm just going to give you the straight quote from it because it's kind of neat. The author said, intermittent energy restriction induced constant, significant reductions in the activity of eating behavior related brain regions and significant dynamic changes in the abundance of some gut bacteria. Importantly, gut bacteria alterations correlated with brain activity changes across different time points in the IER intervention. And these data suggest that dynamic between the brain and gut microbiota, I don't know if I did that right, plays an important role in weight loss. So basically, it's not just gut separate from brain. The brain and the gut are definitely connected. And when we see people with obesity, maybe one of the reasons why we have so much food noise is because we are having an abundance of E. coli and not enough abundance of good bacteria in our gut. So, it makes me want to eat yogurt, but I don't know that that's necessarily the answer. I think that this is probably more of an underlying genetic problem that we don't know why we're lacking those gut bacteria yet. So there's still a lot more study that needs to happen, but since this was so fresh, it was just published at the end of December. Here we are approaching May. This is a very recent research study in the obese world. And we just don't have enough research in our area. So I thought it was nice to bring it to light and to kind of just know that you are not alone out there if you're suffering from obesity. And we now have an answer for it to treat it, and that is through GLP-1 medications. GLP-1 medications help to slow gastric emptying. So that does help to send more full signals to our brain, which then makes us feel less hungry, and we're able to make better food choices. So if you are thinking about starting your GLP-1 medication journey, you do not necessarily have to do intermittent energy restriction since that is super new, but maybe it's something to think about and talk with your doctor about to see if maybe it might help your gut bacteria. I have a wonderful obesity doctor who helps me with my GLP-1 medications and tracks my progress, and that is through Zappy Health. And if you are interested, if for some reason your insurance isn't going to cover the name brand, you can talk to my provider and see if it might be a good option for you to try an alternative, which is a compound. I've been on compound for 1 year on May 4th, and I can't say enough good things about it. It's changed my life. I'm down 34 pounds from where I started, and I'm still losing weight. So go to the link in my bio and go to the Zappy Health link. And during your consult, mention my handle Path2 Healthy, Path2 Healthy, and get $50 off of your first month if you are a good candidate and they decide that they can treat you. You will also have a free consult by clicking on that link. Thank you so much for watching, and stay healthy out there.